All right, so today I'm going to show you how you can spend minimum 3 hours per week making YouTube videos and then posting those across other social media. Um, so today I'll be showing you the full YouTube system I use. So today I'll be showing you. So today, I'll be showing you the full YouTube system I use for my clients. So today I'll be showing you how you can spend at least Today I'll be showing you how you can spend minimum maybe 2 to 3 hours per week making YouTube content. One of the biggest things I hear is one, the fatigue of creating ideas, two, actually filming, and three, posting them. So I'm going to be showing you the content system for YouTube that you need to implement into your business, into your offer, so that one, you can get more leads. Number two, it can just make it a lot easier because obviously you are super busy. So let's cover that. We're gonna be going, and this is not gonna cover everything, but at a high level, I'll show you kind of what this system looks like that we're currently running with. Okay, so the tech stack is ClickUp. Now, ClickUp basically houses the actual scheduling of these videos. So what I will do is I will create a system in ClickUp, whatever task management you are using. For me, it is ClickUp. A lot of my clients are using ClickUp. So we'll use ClickUp and we'll basically create sections. So we'll have ideation section, we'll have script writing section, we'll have recorded section, we'll have a scheduling section, we'll have a editing section, and that basically keeps everything. It's almost obviously it's like very much of a factory line where you have certain tasks that need to be completed before you get the output, which is the complete video. So ClickUp for task management, or whatever you are using, whatever is easiest to kind of visualize the or how to streamline the creation of these videos from ideation to actually posting and it being put online. Now, I use Slack for communication, whether that is with the editor, designer. You can also do that via ClickUp. That's totally fine too. I just find Slack's a lot easier. Or you could just use Fiverr if you don't really have Slack. If it's not needed, you can obviously just go on Fiverr, hire someone, hire a designer, hire an editor, and then just communicate via Fiverr. But I find it a lot easier on Slack. It just keeps communications open. So we use Slack for that. Now, LLMs are huge as well. One, if you are budget constraint, I would say potentially using Nana Banana for your thumbnails. Potentially just using Chat for your thumbnails. So there's a few things that LLMs help with. Yes, they do help with the script writing process. I have a bot. That kind of helps me develop these scripts, and then obviously with Human in the Loop, we just edit it so that it's crisp and ready to go. So the LLMs are really helpful. $20, ChatGPT will do just fine. So that's kind of the tech stack there. It's really minimal. I try to keep it very basic, and ultimately, I try to just use just use what you're currently using. So if it is ClickUp and you don't have Slack, that's fine. Just chat via chat via ClickUp comments, right? So most of you business owners do have Slack, so whatever. But ClickUp basically for the task management, again, from ideation to actually scheduling it and producing it. Slack and Fiverr to communicate with the designers, thumbnails, and then LLMs to kind of just streamline the entire process and for efficiency. Now, what I want to talk about is how are we going to do all this in about 3 hours per week, minimum, max 3 hours per week. And again, we're not going to go too deep into it today. We'll do that in another video. But this is what I love to do. So this has worked out very well for me and the individuals that I help. So what I like to do is, number one, you are going to basically create 3 distinct pieces. Okay, so For instance, imagine you are posting, so you're going to come up with your posting cadence for the week. Okay. So, let's just say you post on Tuesday and Thursday. So you'll have scripts completed, and then um, you will film all the content on either the Monday or like the Tuesday afternoon. Now, ideally, what you start to do is you start to have a backlog. Backlogs are very important, or otherwise, you are just basically, you feel like you're just behind constantly, because then you have to edit it that day and then you have to post it that day. So, what happens is, what I would suggest is you want to backlog about maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So, before you even start, take this idea and don't even post. Okay, post in 1 to 2 weeks of actually doing the ideas, and then make sure, right? So, because basically what's going to happen is that you can post, and then you can have a backlog of at least 1 to 2 weeks of videos, so that if you get sick, if there's a hiccup, if just business is insane and you can't even get to filming, you have something in the backlog that you can just throw out. It ultimately doesn't feel like you're playing catch up, essentially. So what I like to do, again, determine your posting cadence. Say it's Tuesday, Thursday. That's totally fine. That's awesome. Tuesday, Thursday, or even just once a week. That's totally fine. Pick your posting cadence, and then what you're gonna do is, so for this scenario, let's just say we're posting 3 a week. We're gonna do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What I like to do is we're gonna come up with 3 scripts. Okay, 3 distinct scripts, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up with 3 intros. Okay, if you are running paid traffic, most of you are. It's gonna almost I don't know what your system is for paid traffic, but a lot of you do intro, body, and then CTA. And you can mix and match. That's essentially somewhat what we're gonna do here. So I want you to create 3 distinct hooks. I want you to create 3 distinct bodies, and I want you to create 3 distinct CTAs. Now, here's kind of the trick to it all. Depending on the day, okay? So if you're in a lot of meetings or you're just tired that day, I know a lot of you are in a ton of Zoom meetings, but if you're just exhausted that day, I actually want you to film the outros first. Because what I'm trying to do is I don't want you fatiguing on the intro and hook. The intro and hook has to be punchy. Okay, and we're not gonna go into each section here, but just on an overview, the intro and hook needs to be punchy. It needs to be solid. It needs to be firm. If it's not, and the viewer can obviously tell he's just not in it, or you just don't want to be on camera that day, it's gonna hurt viewers. It's gonna hurt our view count. It's gonna hurt retention, all that good stuff. So what I want you to do as a warm up, I want you starting with your CTAs. Now, if you're feeling great that day, you had a coffee, or you close the client and you're like, I'm on cloud 9, definitely hop into your intros and hook from the start. Okay, if that's not the case and you're tired, you've been up all night, and you're like, I just want to get this content over and done with, I want you starting with your CTAs. Okay, that's essentially your warm up. If I go to the gym, I warm up first, and then I go into my heavy set, the most important part. Okay, so essentially you can look at it as filming the CTAs first is your warm up. I want you to film all 3 CTAs. Okay, so that you can actually just, you get used to it, you get in the motions of things. Then what I want you to do is, the way you are going to do this is you're gonna have a master folder. Okay, so again, you can give this to the editor, you can give this to whoever. You're gonna have a master folder, and in the master folder, you're gonna have video 1, 2, and 3. And in there, you're each gonna have your intro. Okay, your intro. You're gonna have your body and your CTA. Okay, so you're gonna have that for each video, right? So you're gonna have a master folder, then you're gonna have individual videos, and then within those individual videos, you will have the pieces. Okay, and that just helps, again, with organization. It can get messy sometimes, so you want to be as organized as possible, as organized as possible. So that's essentially what you're gonna end up doing. So after you've completed the CTAs, what I want you to do then, and you're kind of feeling warmed up, what you want to do then, okay, if you feel like you still need to warm up and it's one of those days, you can just start doing your body. Okay, you can start doing the bodies. And preferably, no. Yeah, just go to your bodies, okay? Now, if you feel like you're warmed up and the CTAs kind of got you into the groove of things, go straight into the intro and hook. Again, I need the most energy, the most excitement here, okay? And I'm not talking about like a dancing monkey. I'm just saying, like, you want the intro to hook. You know, as soon as you start going through your bodies, by the third body, you're kind of just like, all right, let's get over and done with this. So I don't want that to be the case with your intros and hooks. So again, CTAs are first. Get into the groove of things. If you're already in the groove, and again, you had a fantastic day, do your intros and hooks right away. If not, do your CTAs first. Okay. Do your CTAs first, and then immediately go into your intros. Okay, and then you can film your body. Because really, what's going to happen is, and you can see this through the data, is most people are only going to watch the intro and the hook. And that's why there's so much importance within the first 60 seconds, the first 30 seconds. It needs to be on point. It needs to be punchy. I need energy, right? I need excitement. And again, this isn't a dancing monkey. I just need you to be intentional about what you're saying and how it looks, right? So that's what's going to happen. Now, let me move this real quickly here. That is what's going to happen. And this can be filmed quite easy because, again, you're not multitasking. You're doing one task at a time. You're doing the CTAs. And the way you're going to design it is basically there's a way to do CTAs. It's like a certain format, right? So, again, you're not using too much bandwidth. It's just like, okay, let's film the 1, let's film the 2, let's film the 3. If you have a teleprompter, perfect. Just make sure your eyes are not moving completely. Further away works a lot better. Or again, just minimize the borders of your teleprompter so it looks small, so I don't see the eyes. The last thing I want to see as a viewer is you reading a teleprompter. Okay, that's the last thing I want to see. So that's just some pro tips there. But yes, each category is its own thing, and they're all very similar. So again, you're not hopping back and forth. You're not in intro mindset, be all jumpy and all this excitement, and then, okay, we have to do the body. Just do these things, right? So you're batching the content, which works extremely well, and you should be doing with your ads. You should be doing this with social media content, and that's kind of the beautiful part about this, which we're going to get to in a sec here. So do your CTAs, do your intros and hooks, and then lastly, do your body, okay? And you're looking for specific numbers on kind of the data. We're not going to get into data, the nuances of things here. But that's kind of what I want you to do. And this is what's ultimately going to happen. So you're going to start, just like you would kind of with ads, is you're going to start finding winners. Okay. You're going to start finding winners with the intros and hooks. So you're going to have a best one, right? Let's just say this is number 2 is the best intro and hook. You're going to determine that by like the, again, the retention rate when it comes to the hooks and the intros. And then you're going to have the best body, and then you're going to have the best, body, for instance. Maybe that's number 3, who knows? And maybe you're going to have the best CTA, which is maybe potentially number 1. Okay? And what you're going to do, here's the beautiful thing. You're not going to completely redo the whole video. What you're going to do is you're going to take these pieces. You're going to take intro number 2, body number 3, all right, CTA, and then you're going to start you can actually run that as a paid ad, which is a great idea. You can post that so you're going to basically curate a whole new piece of content from the content that's already filmed, right? Because obviously these variations, this creates many different variations, right? Like this is 1 variation, this is 2 variations, this is a 3rd variation. And then from all this, you can just layer in. And that is when you're going to take to social media. And you're going to know, maybe that's Instagram, right? So you're going to pull this intro here, you're going to pull this body here, this CTA, hey, we're going to go to IG, and it should do actually decently well. All right, sure, we might have to edit just some spots to make it look like it was made for IG. Um, or we can do it for LinkedIn, right? When it comes to videoing, some people, what they do is they actually video the whole thing, vertical and horizontal. They'll have two different cameras, or they'll just use a phone for the vertical stuff. But the idea is you don't want to do more than you have to. So you want to create these pieces here for the week, or even for the month. If you're like, this whole day, I'm going to just go insane with the content. You can do intros, you can do bodies, you can do CTAs for the entire day. Yes, it's exhausting, but it's done at the first of the month, and then you're just spitting out content the entire month. Okay? So what you can do is you can take this to IG if it's filmed vertically, right? You can take it to X, right? So if this intro or hook worked, I can actually take this transcript, tear them apart, and then I can actually make threads. You can take it to LinkedIn. The same thing, right? Maybe we can try a different thing because maybe it's a different audience on LinkedIn, which it is. And you can just start repurposing this content that you've gotten, all right, which is video, and then you can go audio, right? Right? You can do audio just from, 2 to 3 hours of filming. I have so many pieces of content to work with. Okay, and ultimately over time, you start really getting good at understanding one, intros, hooks, bodies, CTAs. Not that that's kind of your thing. That's more like what we're learning, or what we specialize in. But what you start to do is you start to really take advantage of what you already have. And you can go across all these social medias and just repost, grab this, grab maybe hook 3, grab body 1, grab CTA 2, and you can start creating a whole new thing. Okay, that's the beauty of this, and that's the beauty of one, organizing it this way with your master folder and having video 1, video 2, video 3, and then having each one in there, because then it's easy for the editor to pull apart. The most important thing is it becomes very easy for the editor to pull this one, and then with video 2 I can pull this one, and then with video 3 I can pull this one, right? It all becomes very easy, and then it's basically just like a puzzle, and you're just basically mixing and mixing and matching, and then you can just do that. Okay, so that's how I want you to look at it. And meanwhile, you're communicating via ClickUp, via Slack, and all this other stuff. Now we'll get into thumbnails, because thumbnails is kind of the 80-20 of this whole thing. So you can spend, unfortunately, many people, you are probably, you're spending 2 to 3 hours, even more maybe, per week developing this content, and you're not seeing really the ROI because you are not taking your thumbnails that seriously. Okay, you'd rather focus on this part. I see this all the time. You'd rather focus on this part, and then you just decide to throw something up for thumbnail wise. You don't really improve it, you don't really alter it or whatever, and you go, why am I not seeing results? And just to be clear here, and we're gonna dive deeper into this in a different video, but just to mention it here, I guess, when it comes to thumbnails, okay, when it comes to thumbnails, you want to do a few things, but what I always suggest is we have at least 2 to 3, again, depending on how budget constrained you are, 2 to 3 alternatives. All right. And you're going to test this over the coming days of this thing being live, of the video being live. And this really, and what you want to do is you want to test far, like broad. There needs to be contrast in the testing. Because again, if we only have a certain budget, I'm not going to have, I'm not going to make 2 thumbnails look similar and maybe change out the wording. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have 2 very different thumbnails. I'm going to try them both. And then if I can, best case scenario is if I see one that really works, I will then go back to the designer and say, hey, can I have something like this made, right? And by then I have a good enough idea of what will probably work. Because again, we're testing 2 stark differences. So you want to have at least a few of this. And again, this is the 80-20. If I had $100, I would spend $80 on the thumbnail, or thinking about the thumbnail, before even doing any of that stuff. Because if no one clicks, it's just wasting time, right? So there's a few things to consider, and we'll maybe talk about thumbnail tomorrow because it's just super important. And before you do any of this, just think about what is my thumbnail going to look like. And good enough, well, not good enough, well, I say fortunate for you, right now in YouTube's landscape, the thumbnail is very important, but there's many ways to do thumbnails. Okay, so like for instance, this will be my thumbnail. Not that it's gonna necessarily work, but you see a lot of the Miro boards. You see a lot of this stuff right now, and it's working quite well. So depending your niche is ultimately going to dictate how you go about making your thumbnails, what it needs to have in it, depending on where your market is. But the thumbnail's crucial. Okay, thumbnail's crucial. But kind of just to recap here, I would start with ClickUp. Really cool. Make it visual, and then use Slack or Fiverr for your communication. Even if you don't want Slack or Fiverr, you can just use ClickUp to start out. Use ChatGPT, whatever. You can even use the free version. And we'll get into script writing another day here. And then eventually just batch your content. Use your CTAs first if you're having a really bad day. If not, just go into your intros and hooks. But ideally, it's your CTAs first. You warm up, then you go to intro and hook, and then you do your body. Okay? And then from there, depending on how big your team is, and if you do the solo, that's totally fine. If you are optimizing for IG, perfect. Just take those assets, mix them together, post on IG. If you're doing it for X, pull the transcripts for X and LinkedIn. Maybe you can just make a visual here based on what showed or the visuals that your editor maybe used. And then you can even pull for audio if that's something you want to do. And within 2 to 3 hours, or even one night, I have a tremendous amount now, a pool of content I can pull from constantly, that eventually you start understanding, and then you actually can feed those LLMs to make similar stuff. But it's a really cool and very efficient way. And then when you're organizing this, if you send it off the editor or whatever, and you want to have a master folder, video 1s, 2, and 3, or whatever, how many videos you're posting that week, and then have the individual parts in there, and then we can, I can tell the editor, hey, pull, video 1, 1A, video 2, 2B, or whatever the hell it is. But you kind of get the point. So that's kind of today's video. But YouTube's super important right now. If you're a owner, coach, whatever, you need to be doing YouTube. This will help conversions. This will help just building organic sites. You're not relying heavily on paid, and give you just some freedom if done right. So that's the content system there. If you have any questions, put them down below. But that's day 7, and tomorrow we'll talk about thumbnails. So take care and have a great day.